few weeks ago, I said on this show here, there was no way the Giants, the Maras and the Tishes would ever let Ben McAdoo decide how to script Eli Manning's final days with the Giants. And it seems like that's what they're doing, Mike.
Well, this is so un-Giant-like on so many levels. First of all, the credo of Wellington Mara was always that he would reserve judgment on a season until it was over. And his idea of a good season was a season where you played the last game for something. Now, that was not going to be the case this year. But what was going to be important was they have all their division rivals, all their storied opponents coming into their building in the final weeks of this season, the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Redskins on New Year's Eve, and how this team would compete and how much pride it would show and how much and how many would be there would really tell the decision for the owner of what he should do going forward. That was all blown up yesterday, and I did not first heard the news because the news was relayed to me very differently than it turned out to be. The first news was they were going to play both quarterbacks, and they were going to especially look at Webb, who they talk about liking, but they haven't had a lot of work with him. And that was the idea for the process for the last weeks, which was still not going to be seen as a favorable move, but very different than what I heard minutes later when McAdoo said that this gave his team the best chance of winning. And then that just made everything completely different. That was absolutely the theater of the absurd. Now the best chance you have to win is with Eli on the bench and Geno Smith playing in a week where you're not even playing the youngster. He's not even dressing this week. And now Geno Smith, Eli had been told, you'll play to protect the streak, but then Geno will play. Well, wait a second. How can you tell me you're trying to win a game if you're already deciding you're playing multiple quarterbacks in a game that counts? I mean, that's the most ridiculous thing. And to me, trying to wonder what the McAdoo motivation is here was, I believe that he and Reese decided we need more mobility, even though Geno is not an overly mobile quarterback. He is a pocket quarterback and a bad one. The other thing is I think they want to send the message that they're looking to next year, that maybe they can push the talk to next year and the vision of next year that maybe they see next year. But none of that is going to work. But the most shocking part of this all, Rich, has been that according to McAdoo, and I can't verify this yet, that John Mara signed off on this, which is the most shocking piece to this whole puzzle, that they would treat Eli Manning, who was one of the storied, iconic figures in the history of their franchise, a two-time Super Bowl MVP, and one of the best guys and humble teammates you would ever have, a defined leader and toughest guy you could ever have at the position, to treat him this way, if this is his final days with the franchise, is absolutely not only un-Giant-like, it's unreasonable and intolerable.
The bottom line about the whole scenario with the Giants is the fan base hated McAdoo. They're not in love with Reese, who's aloof. And the Giant fan likes to consider himself above the Jet fan. Connecticut, Westchester, Leafy, had season tickets for 60 years.
You're right.
The Jet fan is Corona, blue collar, and so they think they're above the Jet fan. But by golly, we're going to bench our starting quarterback for Geno Smith. So I think all those things played into the outrage. I think if the Giants had benched Manning for Davis Webb, I don't think you'd have nearly as much of an outcry. And if Mara had done it, and he had the press conference last week, and he wasn't there originally because he was on the compensation committee meetings. But if Mara had done it and not McAdoo, I think the Giant fan base could have handled it a little better too. So you put all the ingredients in the mix. Two-time Super Bowl winner, beloved Giant quarterback, hate Geno Smith, McAdoo 2-9. I can't stand him. And Jerry Reese has been here long enough. Tell him to hit the highway too. You put all that in the mix, and that is why you had that outcry. Now, listen, the Giants are playing Eli this week and beyond. The Giants got 3 home games left. Their home games are against the Cowboys, the Eagles, and the Redskins. The Cowboys and Eagles will travel. Those fans, they're both in the race still, those fans are going to show up at MetLife. Mara, Spagnuolo, and everybody else, they don't want to play Webb or, a guy like Geno Smith in that environment get killed and have the whole place be run over by Cowboy and Eagle fans. Play Manning, get a little juice with the fan base. Everybody gives him a standing ovation. We see what happens on Sunday. In essence, is it good for the franchise? They're 2-10. They're awful. They got the worst offense in the world. Why not play Webb? But I don't think the Giants are going to do it there, Rich. I think you're going to play Manning the rest of the year.
Spot on. I mean, you could not have hit every note more perfectly on that, Chris. The Jet aspect of it is absolutely
a major problem.
What set people off, that it was Geno Smith, that you're going to bench Eli. You're not going to give him start number 211 in a row for a guy that we have had a front row seat seeing go through everything from flopping to saving Rex Ryan's job, which we all saw how well that worked out.
Getting his jaw broken by a teammate before he got ready for a training camp. Let's not throw that in. That's very un-quarterback-like, if you know what I mean.
And very un-Giant-like. It really, exactly. The put it all in the mix, and it came up. It came up just absolutely tone deaf on every way, shape, and form.
Giants handled it poorly. McAdoo, I think he had the right idea with Eli. I think he wanted to respect him, but McAdoo doesn't communicate right. The media can't stand him. He's, obviously he thinks he's above it all. One thing about New York, if you're going to be hard on the media and be a little arrogant, be Belichick, be Parcells, win Super Bowls.
That's right. Win.
When you go 2-9. You can't do that in New York City because there's too many fans and there's too many media guys who are going to go crazy, and you become a distraction. And that's kind of what happened with McAdoo.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.